Welcome to Networks Professionals.
Hey there, when you think about AI, you probably picture this super complex, high-tech engine, right? A total marvel of engineering and code. But, every engine needs fuel to run. So what's the secret sauce? What's the real power source behind AI? Let's get into it.
So really, what is it? What's that one thing that takes all these fancy algorithms from just lines of code on a screen and turns them into these incredible tools that can predict things, create stuff, and even learn on their own?
All right, here's a little hint for you. It's not just the fancy code. I mean, the code is like the blueprint for the engine, for sure. But it's not the fuel. No, the real power? It comes from something way more basic. Something that you and I are creating constantly, every single day. And that power source is data. I'm sure you've heard that saying, data is the new oil. Well, when we're talking about AI, that's not just some catchy phrase. It's pretty much the literal truth. Data is the crude oil that gets refined and turned into actual, intelligent action.
Yeah, think of it like this. Data is the raw energy. It's the food, the fuel that machine learning models eat up to learn, to get better, and to actually become accurate. Without a constant supply of it, well, even the most powerful AI engine on the planet would just sit there, silent, useless.
So why is this fuel so incredibly critical? Okay, first off, training and learning. An AI literally chews through mountains of data just to find patterns. It's how your spam filter learns what junk mail looks like. Then there's accuracy. The quality of the data is what determines how well the AI performs. And, of course, personalization. That data is exactly how your favorite streaming service seems to read your mind and knows what you want to watch next.
Okay, and this right here, this brings us to what might be the single most important rule in all of AI. Seriously, it's not about having the fastest, shiniest engine. It's about having the cleanest fuel. Because when it comes to data, there is one principle that rules them all.
And that principle is GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. It sounds simple, right? But it's so profound. If you feed an AI flawed, biased, or just plain wrong data, you just can't expect it to spit out anything accurate, fair, or useful. It's a mirror. The output is always a direct reflection of the input.
And just look at the direct consequences here. It's crystal clear. You put garbage in, you get garbage out. You feed it biased samples, bam, you get biased decisions. You give it messy, inconsistent data, you're looking at major compliance risks. You train it on blurry, low-res images, well, your investment is pretty much wasted. Every single one of these garbage in examples has a direct and often damaging garbage out result.
So this really puts it into perspective, doesn't it? You've got two paths, plain and simple. On the one hand, you put in good data. We're talking clean, diverse, properly labeled stuff. And that leads to an AI that's actually accurate, reliable, and fair. But you go down the other path, you put in bad data, incomplete, biased, just noisy junk, and you are guaranteed to get a poor result. An AI that's unreliable, unfair, and totally inaccurate.
And this quote, man, this just hits the nail on the head. If you remember only one thing from this, let it be this. A mediocre algorithm with excellent training data can often beat a super sophisticated algorithm that's working with poor data. Let that sink in. It really means the fuel. It matters more than the engine itself.
All right, so that's the theory. But what does this whole engine and fuel thing look like in action? I mean, in the real world? Well, the thing is, you are interacting with these well-fueled AI engines all the time, every single day, and you might not even realize it.
So what does a well-fueled AI actually look like? How does it show up in your daily life? I bet you'd be surprised. Let's run through a few examples you'll definitely recognize. Think about your spam filter. It's learned from literally thousands of examples of spam and legit emails to keep your inbox clean. Or how about streaming services? Netflix, Spotify. They analyze huge amounts of user data to give you those eerily good recommendations. Even bigger things like facial recognition or how businesses manage their inventory, it all comes down to AI being trained on massive data sets. The only reason these things work is because they're chugging along on high-quality data fuel.
So where do we go from here? As AI gets woven more and more into our lives, the focus is starting to shift. People are realizing it's less about building a bigger, crazier engine, and way more about finding and refining better and better sources of fuel.
In fact, looking ahead, experts are actually pointing to a specific year. A point in the very near future when this focus on data quality is expected to become more critical than it's ever been.
That year is 2026. By then, it's predicted that data quality won't just be a factor, it'll be seen as the #1 integrity challenge for all of AI. And why is that? Because companies are finally waking up to the fact that bad data doesn't just give you bad results. It leads to totally failed projects, and maybe worse, a complete loss of trust in the technology itself. And really, that brings us right back to the main takeaway here, the big one. When you think about AI, try to focus on the fuel, not just the engine. Because the smartest, most powerful AI in the world, it's completely useless if it doesn't have the high-quality data it needs to actually learn and do its job.
So, I want to leave you with one final question to chew on. If our data is really the fuel for tomorrow's AI, what kind of fuel are you putting in the tank?
Thanks for watching.